I just don't bother about. Don't get very conscious with it.
No, I'm
goes on
not going to be
finally-
conscious. I'm going to talk whatever that comes to my mind. Okay.
Really?
It's up
That's it.
to you whether you want to
I'm
edit it
logging
or
off.
not. I don't care. Okay.
Dude, give us warning when you started recording.
It's already
It's already
recorded.
recorded.
Chot.
बस वही बाकी था अभी बस वही बाकी था
किस डिस्को में जाए किसी होटल में खाए हो किसी डिस्को में जाए किसी होटल में खाए कोई देख लेना हमें यहाँ कहीं घूम के आए हम चलो इश्क लड़ाए चलो इश्क लड़ाए चलो इश्क लड़ाए सनम हो चलो इश्क लड़ाए चलो इश्क लड़ाए चलो इश्क लड़ाए सनम किसी डिस्को में जाए किसी होटल में खाए हो किसी डिस्को में जाए
A lot of fun. I thought this is going to be fun as and when we speak and we, start giving cues, or maybe I start pulling each other's legs. But then this is already fun, right? So I'm glad we could meet and do this. So I don't want this to be a formal. I'm not going to be a moderator. I'm just going to let the flow go as is. Maybe I'll just ask a few questions here and there, and then we'll see where it goes, right? So I think in the earlier podcast, we did a lot of things about first year, your first impressions. How did you feel when you walked into the college? What is your first memory and all that? So we've done enough of that. So given that this is an all computer science podcast, let's talk about our first memories of getting into the department itself. So what is your first memory of getting into the department? Or the first memory that you have? And before that, okay, so even before we get there, so I named this this podcast as welcome to the life of Borel sets, right? So I know Rajiv and me, we keep joking about these Borel sets every now and then, but I would want to hear from rest of you, right? As to what do you remember about Borel sets, or what is a Borel set?
I heard it's
Dude,
something
I'm
completely
not hearing
different.
that
Sorry.
correctly.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Okay, you have answered his question, Macha.
Whose question?
No, I think when he said, what are you talking about? I think he answered your question.
No, I mean, no, I heard something, but I don't think it's quite appropriate. So I want to know what he actually said. What is that? Can you spell it like?
Borel.
Yeah, exactly. I heard it's something else.
Borel. Borel set.
Okay.
Maybe you should ask Gopala, man. He's the guy.
Yes.
Come on, you guys don't remember a Borel set?
I
I
tell
don't know only Borel set.
I delegate it to
I mean, come on.
Rajiv.
Okay, CP, what about you?
We are delegating it to Rajiv. So let's hear it
Yes.
from him.
What is it like? No, but I'm curious.
Okay,
like,
so
which,
let me give you a clue before I get Rajiv, right? So this came in our fourth semester. This came in the probability theory class from HT.
Huh. Yeah, I have no clue.
Rajiv, I think you'll have
See,
the
that
last
is,
word.
see,
First
that
word
class
to it.
used to be a one-on-one between Rajiv and HT, right?
Yeah.
What?
I mean, one-on-one between Rajiv and ST, and sometimes GV used to do some delta.
Exactly.
Like GV had
Really?
like FOMO, and he used to like. That is what
I don't.
that is what I remember.
Discrete mathematics then.
Yes. No, discrete
No,
mathematics was
discrete
third semester.
mathematics was Ramdas. I think
Ramdas.
Okay.
Ramdas.
Yeah,
Vijay was
HT
actually asking for
probability,
that
but
question.
Borel said? What is Borel said anyway? I mean, must
Just
be,
now I'm asking.
I
I'm
don't.
asking ChatGPT. It is getting confused.
Wait,
I don't.
okay, so Rajiv, this is your chance, man. Enlighten these folks on Borel set.
I have frankly, I have no clue. I think it's more.
Hey, Rajiv, don't lie. Don't lie.
Yeah.
You know it.
Anyway.
You know it.
He knows it very well, man.
don't-
They
so the
discussed
way-
it.
Don't try to be part of the lowest common denominator, man. You be where you are.
No, I think the Borel set is more of a placeholder for sort of the joke, that at least Vicky and I we talk about, right? It's just that okay, there were these parts of maybe the whole sort of the computer science experience for all of us in REC, where there were parts. I mean, there are certain parts that we remember, right, for different reasons. We remember sort of all the controversies. We remember the easy parts, the hard parts. We remember all these different things. And I think for at least in the discussions between Vicky and myself, Borel set is sort of the representative thing where there were things like this conceptual Borel set, which was, discussed and taught as if it's something obvious that we all should know and understand, but then most of us didn't even figure out why it is relevant, right? Like with some of the subjects in REC. So I think that's the context, and looks like Rampi has already taken the assistance.
Most likely, Rampi also got some marks for the question of what is Borel set.
So I remember,
I have no idea.
I remember this line from the class, right? I think HT said, if some set of items, or I don't know what the exact word she used, but then if it doesn't belong to any set, it belongs to Borel set. And I lost it after it. I think it just didn't make any sense to me.
I was just going to add to what Vijay Anand was saying, you know what, I remember I don't know which class it was, the Sridhar was there, right? And I remember the similar story to Vijay Anand, where I remember most of the class actually got it wrong. And the question was like, this, which still comes to my mind nearly every day still, right? Little like terabit, TB with a B capital versus terabyte bit with a bit B small, right? And that was the crux of the problem, right? Like no matter how well you calculate it, like, it was something like, he is given, how long does it take to sort of send so much data or whatever it was, right? And B with the big B capital is supposed to be a byte, versus B with a B small is supposed to be a bit, right? And that was the crux of the problem. And he gave, I remember there were only 2 questions, and this was like 15-mark question out of 30 mark that we used to have for this thing, right? And he cut everybody's marks by 15 because, we didn't know the B capital was a B small, right? I was like, man, this is like so crazy.
Mantra, did you get it right?
No, I did not. That's why I remember it.
See, these are all
The
life
only person
lessons.
who may have gotten it right is probably Rajiv, man.
Yes.
Sahi baat hai na? These are all life lessons, right? So this is something I even now with. I don't remember this question or whatever this thing at all, but I keep referencing, to this point of bits and bytes. Like when my dad asks, "Oh, these guys are giving like all the data plans, right?" So all these people get confused, right? With Reliance Jio. Yahan pe, yeah, you're in the US, but yahan pe all these, they keep doing all these tricks and all that. But it's fun that you guys are remembering these very specific incidents with,
Yes.
with
How
all
beautifully
these...
you have justified Sridhar's craziness, Rajiv.
Exactly.
the one I don't know. So my memories when it comes to sort of all these coursework in REC is very, very bad. But some of these answers and like questions that Mandral pointed out, right? I don't know which classes, but one of them that stands out even now that I still use is there was a multiple choice question where the correct answer was God only knows. I don't know if you guys remember that.
And also from Sridhar only, I know. Yeah.
Sridhar only. Yaar, ye sab kab hua? Rampi, do you remember? Or am I the only one?
I think God only knows. I think I remember that.
All the theory.
It was from Sridhar. He used to do all these crazy things, right? Like always, he would do very crazy things.
So let's just do this quickly, right? So what's your first memory in the department? Rampi, why don't you go first?
My first memory is I was sitting in the third bench with Shankaran and GV. That's my first memory in the department. I don't have anything else, to be very frank. Nothing related to class. And it's all about the lab. In computer science department, all I remember is my programming, lab, and going out for movies. That's it.
Good. Mandral?
Yeah, my memories are more around like what Makin used to do, man, in school, like in our class. Right? He's always up to mischief. That's what always like he'll take somebody's notebook, write something, and pass it on to the other side, right, where these girls would sit. I remember what I forget, Anjali Devi, right, and then what was it? All those people, right? I forget all the names. But he would write something, pass everybody's notebook around, do things. He was like always up to some mischief. That's what is sort of on top of my mind always. Right?
Senti, you?
My memories, same as Rampi, are mostly blurred, man, of second year, to be honest. And I think one of the reasons for that is, our seniors, I was talking to some of them towards the end of first year and all that, right? They scared the shit out of me, right? Like, hey, second year, like it's going to be like crazy difficult. They said, agar second year nikal gaya, to tera nikal gaya types, right? Like by the way, later on, I realized that these fuckers itself, they have not gone to third year, right? What are they telling me, right? Like, and, and second year, like the Pascal and discrete mathematics, especially they called out, right? Like, because most of our seniors actually flunked in those two, right? Like, most of our seniors. And to be honest, my first memory was when I saw that ST is not taking discrete mathematics, right? Like that was like
It was a
maybe a
relief. Yeah.
sigh of relief. And that is the only memory I have. And the other is the Pascal lab. Somehow I got right. So that's the only memory I have. Rest of it is all blurred. And then uh, Ramdas, right? Like, I mean, he could not be different compared to ST madam, right? Like in every sense, right? Like the way he taught and all that. I know Vijayanand does not like me saying certain things, but that's what my memories are. Yeah.
Nice. CP, how about you?
So for me, going into second year, I felt like at least in third semester that, to Senti's point, there were some tough courses, but I always felt like computer science wasn't coming just yet because we had these courses like, we had discrete math, we had numerical methods, and there was some electrical circuit stuff. And I'm just waiting for, okay, what is the difference between what we did in second year, let's say first year and second year, and what is new about computer science? And I think only when we started to get into third year, I would say, we started taking actual computer science courses. So for me, it was still very enigmatic, at least third, fourth semester.
Cool. Rajiv?
Yeah. So like others said, I think my memories are all very blurred. So I don't know about the first memories, but in general, I think I felt like, okay, finally we are, after doing all sorts of random things in the first year, doing smithy and metallurgy and what is it, using a lathe and filing and all that, right? I was like, okay, I didn't sign up for any of this. So second year, I mean, that was like a fresh thing, right? And then we also got to go to SJB. So that was like all very nice and sort of made us all feel special. And I think Rampi just commented that, yeah, so we had fewer classes, we didn't have to go the whole day, all that stuff. So yeah, so those were sort of all the things that made us, I think, feel special in general. And in terms of academics, I think, I don't know, maybe I'm an odd man out, but I was like happy to see probability and some of these math related things. And I don't know if that was in the second year or third year, right? And even some of the lab things.
It was second year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Second year. Yeah. So all that was okay. So that is okay. So this is what we signed up for as computer, whatever, science students, right? So that was good.
So Rajiv, sorry to interrupt, but Rajiv activated one of my buried memories. But one of the advantage of going to SJB was the architecture department, right? Like, that was like a really breath of fresh air, right? If you will, right? Like compared to what all we had gone through in first year. And that was like really, really, we used to look forward to the breaks and all that. Yeah.
Senti,
Just
can you
one-
tell a little bit more what
There was
you
also
mean by
MBA
breath of
there,
fresh
right?
air? Can we get deeper into that?
you know exactly what I'm talking about, CP.
Hey, Santi, you're talking about computer architecture, right?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Correct.
But that was like one of the high point of being in SJB for me at least. Yeah. Go ahead, Vijay. Sorry.
I point.
Yeah, no, dude. I mean, it's like I was just about to say one of the highlights of his that Silver Jubilee building was that, right? The architecture department. I mean, and I think we were little bit of envy of, like, like people are envious of us because we were in that building, because ours was the only department that was there. Everyone else was like again, yeah, it was like a little bit of an older study, so they had their established buildings, civil,
Yes.
electrical, all of those guys.
Correct.
I think
It was a
computer
new
was a hack, right? It started as a hack. It was like math guys coming and teaching computer science. That's how it started. That's why we had, or most of us didn't have a proper computer science. I think computer science grad coming and teaching us. I think the first one was that master's guy from some Idaho or Utah or
Iowa.
something.
Iowa.
Iowa. Yeah. That guy coming and teaching us AI in the last year. That was the first, and maybe not this. What is this?
They're a networking guy, right?
Yeah.
Vishwanath. I think he was a proper computer grad, I think. But rest all were like,
You're talking about KV here?
KVA never
KVA,
taught
yeah.
us, no? Did he
Yeah,
taught?
he never
No,
did he
yeah,
say
taught
that?
us.
but what I'm saying is he was the only legitimate computer science grad.
Yeah.
Rest all were like from math backgrounds and stuff, right? And they were themselves doing MTech in
Yes.
at REC, which is
Yes.
kind of, I mean, which is okay.
Yeah.
You do get taught by masters and PhD guys when you're doing undergrad, in schools outside the country, but then they're a different caliber, right? I mean, this is not quite the same. So
Okay.
Cool. So the next thing, for me, the real welcome to the department happened during the third semester lab, the data structures lab, right? So, I was speaking to Rampi some time back, and I was telling him that, this was the craziest, lab experience that I had. But Rampi was like, what's the big deal? I solved it in 15 minutes or something like that. And then he didn't think about that too much. But what did you guys think about that? Let's come to Rampi towards the end. But how about the rest of you? What did you guys think about the third semester data structures lab? Vijay, you want to go first?
it was cool. I mean, I love Pascal. In fact, I think everybody should start with Pascal as opposed to, say, Python or something else. It's such a wonderful language. Teaches you some sort of discipline and everything. I can go on and on. So anyway, it was a good language to start with. So I really liked it. It had a lot of opinions and structure and whatnot, and to keep throwing errors. It won't let you do stuff until you behave well. That sort of a thing.
I was sitting right next to you, Mandral, in that lab, by the way.
Okay, I don't remember much. Only thing I remember the blue book that we have. That's like the only memory I have. I have no other memory of the data structure labs and so on. But I'll say one thing, right? Like data structures, especially when I started my career. Interestingly, people say they did whatever they did in college, they never used it. I have done a lot of sorting, lot of linked lists, all very like first 3-5 years of my career. I did a lot of that, so that was useful for me. But that I had, but no memory really of the
dude, like
lab
I
itself.
mean, I just want to second that. I mean, I've used every bit of college, everything that people said, like, what's the point of this? I've kind of used every bit of that, and I've like, yeah, actually, like, whether it's probability or combinatorics or compiler theory, because like in one of the projects we actually wrote a preprocessor, a C preprocessor to check for like coding guidelines. So we were essentially writing a compiler, right? And we had the Lex and Bison going on and all that stuff. So yeah, dude, like, I mean, I'm one of those guys who think like the syllabus was pretty okay. I mean, like, there's no wasted effort there. Like all the AND gates, NOR, OR, everything, all of that. Yeah, I just wanted
By
to
the way, see, I have very little opinion on whether the topic itself was relevant or Pascal was relevant. But there were so many things going on in that lab. I'm surprised none of you remember it.
Yeah.
Gupta ji?
So maybe if you are hinting towards some crying or some like people getting like really scared of the demo was not working, etc., then I do remember. But it was a scary experience, right? Like if you remember, right? Like especially in the exam, right? Like not many were able to show the demo and could not complete, right? So that was a scary moment, and several people got psyched. And if I'm not wrong, Sridhar was the in charge of that, right? Or was he?
No, I think it was Mala.
Mala? Okay. Okay.
Mala, and
All
then
right.
we had an external supervisor from BHEL or something, and then for some reason he hated us. He hated the whole class for some reason. But anyway, so let me ask somebody else. CP, what do you remember?
So I don't remember much about the lab, to be honest, but I, like Vijayanand said, that I think that was a really good course. And I'll say that I remember in the first cycle test, I didn't quite get the hang of it. So I remember Vijayanand, I was in room 5, I think you were in room 3 or 4. And we worked together actually for the second cycle test. And I think that is when I did well. I know Vijayanand must have done really well, but that's when I actually started to get the hang of it and I started liking it. And to the point that he made, I think it was a useful course. I think even up until I was interviewing people, I still give them some data structures question, and it usually turns out to be a good filter of whether you know your stuff or not. And it has been a good hiring strategy, actually.
Yeah. Totally.
Rajiv,
Come
what
on,
about
man.
you?
Yeah, let's hear it from you, buddy.
You're building too much like around this. Come on.
Yeah, and Vicky, maybe it's not going in the direction you wanted it to. Somehow I feel.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll tell you what really happened. I mean, obviously we went through that whole demo thing, all that happened, but on the side, Jagu fell down because he got this fits.
I remember now.
And that happened maybe a few desks away from my desk. And then Shanky was really close. So, he accompanied Jagu to the hospital and all of that happened. And then there were a couple of girls that actually fell down because they were scared, or I don't know, they didn't eat the breakfast or something like that happened.
Yes.
Yeah,
and I remember Ajish telling me that he wasn't sure what to do because he was trying to go reach out and help that girl up, but then he wasn't sure what the teachers would think of. So he was so scared. He was like, dude, I didn't know what to do. I mean, and then that was going on.
Man,
and I think, personally, I don't think I got that question. I did some crap and I made that program compile, and that's the best I could do. I mean, I don't think I solved that question. It was really, if I remember right, most of them got some, 50s and 60s is what I remember. Because all of this was going on. And there's this very funny story, okay? So Mandral was sitting right next to me. And then, given that, we're all V's, right? So Mandral was there. Vinay was there. Guru was there. And then there was this conversation going on between Mandral and Guru. So
I hope it was sane.
Mandral just, I think I told this, right? In one of our chats also. So Mandral asks Guru, like, "Abhi kuch nahi ho raha hai, kya karu?" And then Guru was like, "हाँ, तू काम करेगा, तू भी रोना शुरू कर," because the girls were crying and they were being excused or something. So, so he was advising Mandral to cry, and then Mandral responding, "जिंदगी में कभी रोया ही नहीं बे, रोना नहीं आता है."
I remember a funny story related to Mandral and Lab.
And then Guru even more frustrated. I mean, like he was already not getting anything. Okay. So he was like, "Can I give you a slap?" And then will that help? Start crying. So that was the kind of conversations going on. On one side, we had all this serious stuff going on, and then on the V section, on the V side of things, all these crazy conversations were going on. That was my memory of third semester.
So talking about lab, there is a very interesting story I remember. I think this was a 6th semester lab, or there was a course on Linux programming, Linux shell programming. Do you guys remember which semester? I think it was 5th or 6th.
Yeah,
So
later on,
in that one, Mandral, I don't know if you remember this. So the question was, I forget what the question was, but we were using the Linux compiler, and it was we were using that C compiler for Linux, CC. And there was one question where the program had to take like 3 command line parameters. And when that shell code that, so everyone wrote the codes. For some it worked, some it didn't work. The program itself, for some you had the correct output, for some it didn't. But in the case of Mandral, he wrote the program very well, but he just wasn't able to compile the program. And he spent the whole lab, he was so frustrated, what was going on. And finally, after the lab was over and everything, the test was over, he was discussing with me, yaar, mera program kaam nahi kiya, yaar, dekho kya ho gaya. Then I said, to kya input diya program ko? And he said, yeah, I named the parameters. So I said CC, and he gave the parameters AA, BB, and CC. So basically the shell thought that you were giving CC twice, and it basically said I couldn't even compile the program because it interpreted CC as the parameter CC as C compiler. And Mandral, I don't know if you remember that, but that was a
I remember that because that was like one of the labs where my things didn't compile right at all. And the thing was like, it was like a pipe. I think you had to do Linux pipe. There were 3 programs you had to sort of have, and pipe data from A to B to C, right? Kind of thing. And so the names of the 3 things I had, binaries I had created, AA, BB, and CC. So I could just pipe it, but the CC would not just come up at all. I was like, why the heck is it not coming up? Right?
Of all the names that you could think of, you thought of AA, BB, and CC.
I remember that, yeah, because that was a good experience for me. Just like I said, right, bits versus bytes. That CC thing was also a big experience. Saying never name your your binaries like CC or something like that.
Nice.
There was this other, given that we are talking about labs, I don't know if you guys remember, in 4th semester, we had this good for nothing lab called electronics lab, where you had to do some full adders and what is it called? Half adders and full adders. In that, you had that some set, right? I forgot the name, some 286 something. Rampi, we saw the lab also, right? When we went there. What was it called?
Basically, you have to write directly in the machine code. You have to key it.
Yeah. Microprocessor.
Yeah, that's it.
The course on microprocessor. Yes.
8086. Yeah.
The story. Okay, I'll come back to the story.
Damn, I can't for the life of me figure what CD means. Anyway.
My God.
I'll tell you after the call.
Come on.
Beep, man. Beep for now.
Huh?
So there was this lab, right? I think
somebody help me after this, man. Seriously, like ping me separately or something, DM me or something. Okay. Anyway, cool. Sorry.
So this lab was, the class was broken down into 4 divisions. I think 1 to 12 in one batch, 12 to 24 in one, and all that. And as usual, all the V's were bundled together, and then we were in the last, I think the batch or something to get that programming or the practicals done. And I remember standing outside in the line, and I don't think we were standing in the roll order. I remember a bunch of guys standing in front of me, people like maybe Mandral, Guru, and even Ramki was standing in front of me, I think. And then last but one was me, and the last one was Vijay. Okay. And the way it worked there was that they had these sheets of paper, and you need to go and pick one, and whatever came to your, whatever came in your hand is that exam paper that you had to solve. Okay. And what really happened in our specific batch was that people that went in took the first paper out, right? Whatever was there on the table, they would take the one on the end, and then they would move on. And the catch here was that from the previous batches, we knew that one of them was really tough, right? The remaining were relatively easy, but the one that was really tough was in one of those 12 papers, right? So everyone that went in, they would lift the paper, read the question, and they'll have a smile, right? So you knew that, okay, the tough paper still taken. Okay, so 10 guys go in, and then everyone lifts the paper, and then they were all happy, right? So it was just me and Vijayanand in the end, okay? And I don't know what this Vijay was thinking. Suddenly he cuts in front of me and goes and lifts the paper. Paper turned out to be the toughest paper. And next minute I heard Vijayanand smack his forehead.
Karma, man, karma.